apparently has for the UN on that day. And anything else I need to get in there?
Just the basics, and then we'll send this to the...
And send it to whoever we're supposed to send it to in Boston.
United Nations.
Yeah, but we'll send this letter to like the library and the school.
Yeah, they're asking for one too.
Yeah, see if they can build that into their curriculum for the day. Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion seconded by Pat. Any discussion? Seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Special options for use for East Templeton Elementary School. Where do we stand now? You started the mold.
Mold remediation is almost complete. I didn't check today, but I believe we are finishing that today or tomorrow. We had a problem with black mold in the basement of East Templeton Elementary School due to the lack of ventilation over the summer. It's being remediated by a professional firm, and they're completing their work. I believe they were to complete it today, but I did not check yet. So, with that said, we will now have a clean building, but we still need to make a plan for the coming winter and the year.
Virginia.
Where are we getting the money to do this remediation?
Town Building Maintenance Fund. There are two funds. There's repairs and maintenance. This is out of the repair fund, right? Maintenance fund.
I know some people were looking into trying to deem that a historical building.
I'll speak to that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Tomorrow evening, I and at least one of my other members, along with the preservation folks, will be meeting with the historical committee to discuss that particular option for both East Templeton and Templeton Center for two reasons. It presents an opportunity for us to use CPA money for both buildings. We are well aware that there is an issue with the roof at Templeton Center, and we also know that we have the opportunity to end up moving the office spaces into that building. There is plenty of room in that building to hold a majority of the boards and actually get out of two buildings which we are presently heating and maintaining.
You're talking about East Templeton, right? Not Templeton Center.
Pardon me?
You're talking about East Templeton.
Yes,
okay.
Moving into East Templeton, not Templeton Center. We'd like to move into Templeton Center, but we have not had an elementary school built yet, and I mean that would probably be more ideal because it is a larger facility. But looking at the size of that facility and some of the square footage, it's felt that a majority of it could be moved there with probably only having one other building and getting out of two other buildings, just looking at the square footage. I don't want to end up talking to the details yet until we actually know where we are as far as getting it declared historically. And it appears, brief conversations that I've had with Mr. Brooks, that's a strong possibility that they will end up having a letter presented to us at some point here in the next month or so to that fact. Okay. So that we can work with CPA funding.
Has anybody, I don't think anybody has, looked at the scope of work needed to make that into offices?
Officially, no, to answer the question. There's been a number of walkthroughs and guesstimates. There was a thorough building ADA compliance review done at considerable expense about 5 or 6 years ago. That's a component, it's only a small piece, but no complete review in the sense you're asking the question. The fair answer is no. Actually assessing the cost of getting the building into shape so that it could house town offices.
Right. And I think one of the major parts, if we're going to make that our town office building, is ADA availability.
Mr. Chairman, that's one of the reasons I ended up talking at the last meeting about the block grants.
Yep.
And he did mention that that was available for that. Plus, when talking with the folks for CPA, they were initially saying to us that they realized that we may not be able to get the building ready for, say, this winter, but they actually made a somewhat of a commitment without even knowing its historical in nature yet, by saying that they could probably end up with, you know, pushing this forward with the select board, is to actually stabilize that building temperature-wise this year, because we do not need that building to degrade more than it is. It's an asset of the community, which we cannot afford to end up having it end up sitting there and end up falling apart on us. One of the things that I do want to also point out, I've had a couple of citizens or citizens group speak to me, because one of the things I did mention is that there is vegetation right up against the building that if we let it sit there, it's going to end up helping break down the brick and the mortar. And really it comes down to whether the select board allows citizens to go on there, no liability, to clean that up, to get ready. Whether we get to the point where we're going to use it for town offices right now or sometime in the future, but we still can't afford to let that building sit there and degrade.
I did ask for this to be put on the agenda so that we could talk about and make a plan for what we want to do with East Templeton. It does need to be stabilized. I agree absolutely with you. I also believe that, you know, we could go in, there are probably volunteer groups in town who will go in and take out the carpet, which would help, you know, ameliorate the mold problem. So there are things that we could do that wouldn't cost a lot of money until we can figure out a plan. Okay? I also think we should proceed with looking at a request for proposal for performance contracting.
Right, yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because you had brought that up last year.
Right, I brought it up last year, but I think maybe if we take a vote to direct Mr. Ritter to, you know, proceed with performance contracting for East Templeton, then we'll have a better idea of ballpark numbers, and if we can get CPA money or other money, then we'll know if we're even close. Okay?
And the performance contracting now, is that just for the, like, the heat and the stability of the building, or will that include gutting or fixing the building the way we need it?
I think you can make it what you want.
Okay.
Okay? It depends on how you write the specs.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, one more.
Yes.
At today's regional meeting, which Virginia was also attended, we both got a list of excess equipment, office equipment, cubicles, desks, etc. And I was amazed on how low the cost is. We had stuff that was listed as $2,000 to $5,000 that's available to this community for $10. If we can't afford that, minimally, we probably can't afford to take and do anything. I mean, for $100, we could probably buy a lot of stuff to actually outfit one of the rooms completely. You know, and I thought about...
This list made Will's day. Look at this one. Look at this one.
Absolutely. I sat next to Virginia and I looked at that, and as soon as I saw the price, I went, that is a good deal.
Right. So I think it's pulling all together those resources.
Yep.
But I'll make a motion to direct Mr. Ritter to proceed with performance contracting for East Templeton Elementary School.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Discussion at this end of the table.
Sure.
What will the specifications be? Just heating, cooling, and ventilation? The entire envelope? Does it involve repointing brick, replacing windows, doing the roofing, the wainscoting, the downspouts, the groundwater drainage. This is a project that can be as big or as small as you want it to be. And I need direction. How big is big? How small is small?
Virginia?
What if for now we go with heating, ventilation, safety, and access?
ADA, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let me just say this, as a citizen, also as an advisory board member, that if that building needed painting, I painted in my house. If the town can afford a couple of gallons of paint, and I see this in other communities, by the way. There's one community in Ohio, and it's a spreading thing where the community is going around painting homes. I think that's a growing trend that you could probably get citizens of the community to actually go in there because they see the benefit to the community to go in and paint the building if it needs to be.
I think my only, not concern, but one other thing we want to look at is we're probably going to have to either A, tear down walls or B, put up walls. I'm sure not every room is going to be spec'd out the way we want it to be. So I don't know if we want to...
Cubicles.
Cubicles. By the way, one of the things
Well,
that...
there are other people with their hands up.
Yeah,
Sorry.
in the back first.
Well, sit in the back, you can see the rest of us.
I personally have a serious problem with you guys making renovations and talking about making renovations to that old school, especially for town offices. Considering our kids are now housed in Templeton Center, which needs a new roof, you're not considering replacing that roof for our children, but yet you're going to take into consideration of replacing the roof on that building that's not being occupied right
No,
now?
actually, he mentioned the Templeton Center roof earlier on. They're trying to get that one to be historical also, so they can replace the roof on Templeton Center with CPA money.
So this is all going to be done within the same time frame?
Yeah, if they can get the CPA money, right?
That's correct. One of the things we're doing is going to the historical committee, and if we can end up getting that declared as a historical building along with East Templeton, CPA money will be available for that building also to end up taking care of the roof.
But if it's not declared, both of them, I think that a lot of taxpayers, I'm going to speak on behalf, are going to have a real issue with that considering Templeton Center houses our children.
Right now, the folks on the CPA are sitting with $750,000. If that can't end up getting the roof for two buildings, I don't know what else we could end up doing, because the roofs don't cost that much.
Well, they're talking about all kinds of other renovations too, that are concerned.
Well, right now, part of the reason for this is right now, we pay a high amount of rent where we are at 690 Patriots. And we can get rid of our rent bill if we move into East Templeton because we own that building. And that's part of the process. Then we can have money to do something else in town. If we don't have to pay this $45,000 worth of rent every year, or whatever it is.
46.
46,000.
I don't understand why we're paying rent bills for buildings that aren't being utilized.
Well, that's why we're trying to
That's,
move.
You just answered our question.
Bob?
Would it be reasonable to contact, what's his name, Lou
Evangelitis, yeah.
and see if we can get the prisoners to paint both buildings?
Well, I
I
believe...
don't know what they do for it. I know they do painting.
Yeah. I believe when we came through the building on the tour with Congressman McGovern, Mr. Claybaugh was showing us the gyms and a couple of other buildings where it wasn't the sheriff's department, it was actually Shirley.
It was Shirley Prison.
The Shirley Prison group that goes out, and they painted the whole, within a day.
Yeah.
So there are crews that we can schedule and line up. It's going to be easier for East Templeton because it's an unoccupied building to get that work done than to try to do an occupied building like Templeton Center.
Liability wherever they want.
No, I'm just saying scheduling-wise, it's harder to paint the inside. But the point made about the roof at Templeton Center, that has been a perennial issue for as long as I've been on the Board of Selectmen. We've tried every which way I know to get the townspeople to support putting a new roof on that building. And it has failed. This is one attempt to try to get a roof on that building, to try to get it declared a historical site so that CPA money can be used for it. And that still will have to get town meeting approval.
Kirk?
First, would it be, do you think it would be advantageous to, one step before Jeff goes out and tries to, just based on your HVAC and whatever, to maybe have all the departments that are relevant to a site like that, do a site, a mandatory site walk, whether it be building inspector, fire inspector, plumbing inspector, planning for parking, you know,
I think
any conservation issues, there's no parking in the area, but it'd be advantageous to at least get our own inspectional services to the site first, and that's what we pay these people to do, or don't pay us, you don't pay me to do that, but I still show up. Then you short list, or if we don't know, you go HVAC, couple of windows, this and that, and you come to find out, well, the service is no good, and we need to do this.
I think Larry actually went through that building.
Now qualified enough to do a initial site walk, a meter test, a local
Right.
test, something like that.
Okay.
Check it out.
Right. I think Larry went through it last year.
I'm saying, starting now, a fresh sheet to move forward
Yeah.
with.
Right. When Larry went through it last year, he was looking at it as a temporary occupancy, okay? And he thought we could get temporary occupancy if we just used that one floor. This will be different, so it'll be a different walkthrough.
I'm saying, like a whole
Right.
fresh start. and move forward with that.
Deal with
Right.
Do that?
Okay, did we vote on that?
No,
No, we haven't voted yet. We have
made and seconded.
been seconded and we've been discussing. All right, so no more discussion? Okay, so this is to let Jeff start going out for proposals, but at the same time, we can do have our own people inspect, you know,
I'll have
Larry and the
inspect
wiring
any-
and whatnot, to get their idea of what we need.
Yeah, wiring and plumbing.
So, okay, so Patrick? Yes. Virginia?
Yes.
And Julie?
Yes.
And you keep us up to date on your meeting?
Yes, I will.
Historical?
You can be assured of that.
Excuse me. Okay. Discuss and act on advertising for the treasurer position. Just to let everybody know, if you don't already, the treasurer is no longer employed by the town of Templeton, so we are looking for a new treasurer.
Sit on my desk.
So we want to go out to advertise it again like we did back in April. So that's what this is about. So I need a motion.
Move to act on advertising for the treasurer's position.
Second?
Okay, discussion? Jeff?
Mr. Chairman,
A date?
the purpose of the request is simply to allow us to do what we did back in April, which is post on Mass Treasurers Collectors website, at the Mass Municipal Association website, in the Gardner News, and on our bulletin boards, that we have a vacancy, the same position description as we used in April. Go forward with promptly and quickly generating a pool of candidates so that they can be interviewed, a selection can be made, and an appointment can be made quickly. So just asking for the green light to go ahead and do it.
Okay, Julie, did you?
Do we want to have a date that the...
Close, the date of close?
Yeah.
2 weeks at a minimum is a good date to throw it out there. So like 2 weeks from Friday would be good.
So that's to be the 28th of September.
Close it September the 28th.
Yeah.
Okay, so we advertise to close for the advertising.
They have to have it in, they have
Have to have their
resumes
Close the
in by-
business,
applications,
Friday,
resumes in by
28th.
Friday the 28th. Okay.
Okay.
U.S. Post or email, their choice. But because when the offices are closed, that's okay. U.S. Post is still stamped and email's fine.
Okay.
By Friday the 28th.
All right. Any other discussion? Yes,
What are you doing in the interim for turnover?
we're going to go over that after. That's next.
It's new business.
Okay. Patrick?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Do we want to do that next, or do we want to wait?
It's appointments, so there was another.
Well, we have a couple of old business things first.
Technically, it's an appointment.
Okay, so we'll wait till we get to that, okay. At our last meeting, we discussed the Insurance Advisory Committee and how we were going to build it. And I'm just wondering if any letters went out to the groups of people to get any feedback on who they might want to have sit on the boards.
No, they did not. It's entirely on me. They just haven't gone out.
All right, so,
They'll go out tomorrow.
okay.
Been a little preoccupied, but
All right.
no excuses.
I just wanted to check to see where we were on that.
Mr. Chairman, you have ours from the advisory board already.
I believe we do.
Yep.
I have it in here.
And the Board of Selectmen, Virginia, were you nominated as Personnel Board or as Board of Selectmen?
Both.
I forget. Both?
Both.
So you're going to cover both bases, okay. Fine. But we're looking for a town employee and a union.
Somebody from Personnel, you said that's going to be you also? Are you going to hold both seats, or just one of them?
Oh, no, I'm not going to hold the seat from personnel. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I misunderstood what he was saying.
Okay, so we need somebody from Personnel,
Right.
the treasurer,
And the treasurer.
and...
Mr. Chairman, if I may ask a question?
Yes.
I was told that there is a general law, Massachusetts law, that actually spells out who is supposed to be on that particular board. I did a little bit of research. I did not find that particular general law.
Okay.
But I believe we might have to look at that because there may be some requirements that we're not familiar with.
Okay. I'll add a discussion point. I'm familiar with that. Can't cite it off the top of my head. That's why we're including the treasurer, because the treasurer is the fiduciary of the town, actually writes checks to insurance companies, and hence that reference is why we must have the treasurer on
Right,
this.
that's why
and
we
must have
added
the board.
treasurer.
Other than those two, I don't think there are any requirements other than the Board of Selectmen and the treasurer. The Finance Committee is good and all these other things. Those are the requirements of law when you actually go out to bid it.
Okay. Old business, Julie?
Under old business, I have the water main breaks. And there are some questions that I would like written answers to.
Okay. Do you by any chance have them written down?
I do.
All right.
Just
I know.
happened to have them right here.
Yeah. I would like to know if there's a plan for improving our water system's infrastructure. Having been on the board for 3 years, I don't believe that there is a plan. I know we have diagrams of the system, and I know we've added to the system, and I know there are certain needs that the water system needs to update.
Yep.
But I don't believe that there is a plan. So I would like to ask if there is a plan. If there is, could they please share it? I'd like to see a 4-year analysis of the locations and dates of the water main breaks in town.
I already forwarded that to John.
Yeah.
I didn't get an answer from him on that, though. I think that may be a records request.
Did you see the letter we got today?
I have not been on my email today.
Okay. I just feel as a board, we're not water commissioners, but we do end up getting people's letters of concerns and complaints about why there are so many water breaks here, there, and the other
Like the one we
place.
got Friday.
Right, and it's a public safety issue as well. And people do turn to the Board of Selectmen for this. And the water customers in town are our constituents. So I think it is incumbent upon this board to ask for a written report. I don't believe it's I'm asking for placing an undue burden for some answers to these questions.
Virginia?
It's also a money concern, because if we're going to recover Baldwinville Road and then have to dig it all back up for a half a dozen water breaks right after it happens, so.
That's correct.
Well,
Right.
the problem with that is that it's not part of the project. That's
No, it's
which
not.
it was supposed to be.
I know it's not, but they can still make some kind of a consideration of what the problem is, so that they
Well,
can try to...
that's why I would like to have like a 4-year analysis of where the water main breaks are. Are there a lot on Baldwinville Road? Are there certain areas where there are repeated breaks? Then maybe those are the areas that should be repaired before Baldwinville Road is done. That's why I want these questions answered, so that when we proceed with Baldwinville Road, we're not just making a mess 2 years after it's done.
But
You know, for the sake of the sitting board now, when we started this project, day one, I expressed that putting $5 million, or at the time was a little over $4 million at the time when we first started, and that the only thing not replaced on that road would be the water main. And we haven't had a lot of water breaks on Baldwin Road, thank God. However, the system is getting only older, so.
I say the ones we have had are pretty much from the high school down to Baldwinville Center, correct?
Correct,
Not
as the
from-
pressure builds going into Baldwinville,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
where it comes from. But regardless, we're gonna have a $5.5 million road with an old water main sitting on it,
Yeah.
under it.
Okay. Can you email those to me tonight, and I'll give them to John tomorrow?
Yeah, but I would like, you know, I would like a written report that we can share with everyone in town,
Okay.
so everyone knows where we stand, because...
For the 4-year one, it might take them a little bit of time.
I totally understand that.
And I
Okay.
also want to find out about the Patriots Road issue, that the letter we got the other day
Yeah.
kind of concerns me. And I notice I drive by it every time it's broken, it seems.
There are now two breaks within 50 yards of each other
And it
that
was
have
a very
occurred
polite
this
letter.
summer. This summer,
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
breaks within 50 yards.
And if you drive down Patriots Road, if you see a section of, like, somebody's driveway that's been recently paved, and there's just a small section of it, there was a water break there. That's how you know.
Yeah.
That's how you can tell. And, you know, there are issues, and we're not the only town that's suffering from aging infrastructure, you know, but I don't think it has to be an insurmountable task. I think we can try to find a solution, and, you know, to try to fix these problems, and it will take both boards and commissions working together. So, I will email these to you.
All right, Virginia?
I have a question for, are we at a place now where I can ask about a question?
Well, we're still under old business, but what do you...
Well, I'd like to know if we're still, I know at one time we used to put those bricks in and treat for mosquitoes. Are we doing anything like that anymore?
We haven't done it for the last couple of years.
What kind of an expense would it be to do that?
It's actually a Board of Health question. It's through the Board of Health.
That's my other concern, that
However-
they're not even here.
However, to do that system, to do that task, those bricks have to be put into the catch basin at a certain time of the year. You just can't drop them in, and that's where they
Okay.
were. Unfortunately for the town of Templeton, we got nothing but water all around us. So there are probably some mosquitoes, I'm not an expert in this field, but I'm sure there are some mosquitoes breeding and hatching in some of the catch basins. They need water to do it in. But chances are they're not going to go into a catch basin and multiply when there's standing water, vernal pools on nearly any street you want to drive in the town of Templeton. So now, and when Chris read that statement at the beginning of the meeting, I was wondering whether or not there was any plan in place to do any spraying in town, looking at a company coming in, perhaps trying to get a handle, because we are so wet in town of Templeton.
Well, I mean, this was handed to me literally 2 minutes before the meeting started, so that was the first I saw of it, so we need
So,
to...
I mean, I was surprised to hear that you said Athol and Orange are at real high risk.
Right. Yeah, they were at...
That's the first I've heard of that, and I live there.
This just came out. So this happened you know, this just came out
It
today.
concerns me that the health agent isn't here to talk to the people about this today, because he would have them.
He may not have, but, no, Mark said he just got it before he left the Gardner News at 5 o'clock.
So that most likely discovered that.
So I was looking for a time on here, but there wasn't one, unfortunately. Yes, Pat?
Who designates who's gonna, like, use that reverse 911? Who use that kind of system?
That would be Rich.
What's that?
If we wanted to use the reverse 911 to let the town know about this
Actually go through the police station.
Yeah, I believe the last time the town was sprayed was many, many years ago. I can recall the highway department, and I think it was before my time on here perhaps. But somewhere in that time frame, 30, 35 years ago, that they went around spraying in town.
Is that Board of
not
Health?
for Triple E, but
Is that Board of Health?
I think it was Gypsy Moss.
But is that from the Board of Health, though?
I would,
Then there wasn't a Board of Health, I don't think.
I'm not sure.
How many? 35? And when I was on the Board of Health, we never sprayed anything. I remember Dwayne Lennon, he was the tree guy.
I think Jeff?
And he ran around with his spray truck. Not making a store in the house, thank God.
Jeff?
Central Massachusetts Mosquito Control, a public agency that covers Worcester County and by definition North Central Worcester County. Out of, I don't know if they're out of Boylston, Westboro, somewhere down there. By town meeting vote and subscription, the town subscribes to a public service. They come through and spray, aerate, whatever term, fog the town twice a year, spring and fall. If the town wishes to proceed publicly under the mantle of state governance and State Department of Public Health, that's the way to go.
Okay, so we can't do anything until we have a town meeting?
Right. I could make a call in the morning to find out just how you get on board. But there is an expense. It gets built right into your cherry sheet. It's nominal. You will have the discussion about the environmental risk associated with that, but it is the way that public entities like the town of Templeton treat for mosquitoes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, through you.
Sir, first.
Are you saying right now you're taking a stance that the board should stop all outdoor activities as far as town activities? And I'm worried about the parade this weekend, so you guys think...
Well, it's nighttime.
Yeah.
It's after dusk.
What's that?
It's after dusk.
Okay, as far as...
Evening activity.
Yeah, so you're talking like the football games, and yeah, things like that.
Okay, all right.
So I don't,
Bet
You
they're
know,
not
we-
gonna call those off.
Fireworks, like,
yeah, see, I mean,
No, I'm just saying as far as you...
I just read it, we haven't like
Yeah.
voted on anything, but I do want to get the word out there.
Well, yeah, it's impossible to schedule an emergency, it sounds a little...
Yeah.
Emergency end of it, so...
Yeah.
At very least, I think we should make the townspeople aware. Yeah.
Well, that, and talk to the chief, I can call the chief.
I made an action over that.
I want to get a copy of this to keep, because I want to actually come to the school in the morning before I go to work.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys want
Mr. Chair, I have
Yes.
a question pertaining to this subject.
Yes.
I heard Mr. Ritter say that it would take a town floor or town meeting vote
Correct.
in order to hire a company,
No, to hire a state agency that's,
state agency.
yeah, if you want to do it that way.
Well, trying to be proactive here, because if this is as serious as the document is stating, it really needs to be discussed, because we don't need any fatalities in our town, obviously, or any other town, but we should have a plan in place with the Board of Health and, NEMA, I mean, to see and try to get a jump on this before there is a problem, because you've been hearing it on TV lately. People are dying in Massachusetts now, and it's becoming more and more news every time you turn the TV on. So I'm very concerned about it. I mean, naturally, my crew works outside.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And even though, I mean, we're out early in the morning when the mosquitoes are a little bit active until the sun comes up. So, I mean, and all outside town employees. So I think we ought to be very proactive on this.
So I guess what we really need to do, I think, is we need to get a hold of Phil first thing in the morning, and we need to possibly get an independent person to come spray.
Yeah,
depending on the
because
cost.
obviously we can't have a town meeting right now.
Well, I'm going out and buy some
But he's right, we don't want to not do anything.
Exactly.
Well, Phil might have some options too.
Right, well, that's why if we need to talk to him like first thing in the morning, and then if we need to schedule an emergency meeting this week, we'll do so.
I'm sure he's getting lots of communication through his network.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have this by when he gets in the morning anyway, but, so.
I bet he had it before you did, so.
You better sell it.
I do have his card. I have his card right here.
All right.
I'm not gonna call him in the middle of the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, you have somebody?
Jeff?
Along with what Julie was asking for that report, I think that I'd like to know how much it costs the town, the water people, I would imagine, to fix all these repairs. It's gotta get very pricey. And Bud just said that he would buy bug spray and offer it to his guys, and I think that's a very good idea.
One of the suggestions that I've heard from the state, some of the state agencies, is for the use of DEET.
Right. Just coat yourself before you go out.
That's why he's gonna get a hold of our health agent first thing in the morning, and it's really, he's the one that needs to figure out what's the best approach. That's his job. And then if we have to, we will have an emergency meeting to get that taken care of right away. If it's something he can't do without our, okay. I'm hoping it's something he can do on his own, and we don't have to have a meeting to discuss it, but in the meantime, do you want to vote to cancel like the evening activities, or do we want to let the school committee decide that, or?
I think we would need to get their input at least, because there are games scheduled and...
Right. But
you know.
what my plan is I'm going to bring this to Ruth and to Mr. Ricken first thing in the morning, before I go to work tomorrow, so they at least know it, and maybe Ruth can get a hold of the school committee, and maybe they can have an emergency meeting if they have to, and
make a decision. Right.
You know, it's not the worst thing in the world if they have to move their Friday night football games to Saturday afternoon. And there's a few night field hockey games and stuff, but they can move those too. Soccer mostly in the afternoon, at least out here.
Field hockey game tomorrow and Wednesday night I'm going to one.
All right, so we will get that rolling right away.
I'll call you after I talk to Phil.
Okay. So now we are at appointments. We only have a couple. Well, we have three actually. Stormwater Committee, one-year appointment from the Sewer Commission, Robert Dennis. Veteran Services Rep for North Quabbin District. We talked about this at a meeting, but I don't think we ever actually voted it. Dennis O'Brien for a one-year appointment ending June 30th, 2013.
Move to vote these two appointments.
Okay. Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Okay. Jeff?
Pat did.
Did you have the third one for us?
Let me explain first, and then it's a motion in a moment. We have a vacancy in the town treasurer's office. We need a bonded employee who has signatory over those accounts. Carol Lee Eaton is bonded and does have a signatory. In fact, performs a very similar function as town collector, and can in fact step in as interim town treasurer for not to exceed 90 days. However, Carol would perform the official and formal function, being bonded and being a town employee. I would recommend that the board hire a temporary employee, a vendor, a consultant to actually act in the office of the treasurer, but not be able to transact financial transactions in the office of the treasurer. They cannot bind any transactions, That's why I'll ask for a motion in a moment to appoint Carol Lee Eaton, our collector, as the temporary interim town treasurer until we can select and appoint a final town treasurer. The action steps that would be necessary to do this would be for the board to nominate and then appoint Carol Lee as the interim treasurer for a period not to exceed 90 days. I have gone out on a limb, but will say so here publicly. We ought to pay her something to do this because we are in fact using her office. She, however, is not actually performing the activities of treasurer. She is providing the legal wherewithal and the protection, the fiduciary protection to the town by virtue of her bond and her appointment. So I think a nominal sum is in order, and I'm recommending out of thin air that I think $50 per week is a reasonable nominal sum to give her for this 90-day period or less until an appointment actually follows. And then, of course, the authority to go out and hire an interim consultant to actually sit in the office and perform the necessary paperwork under the authority of Carol Lee Eaton as interim treasurer.
Okay, so
I guess a motion to appoint Carol Lee for up to 90 days
right,
at $50 per week.
I move that we appoint Carol Lee Eaton as temporary interim treasurer not to exceed 90 days.
Now, that's not what this is, right? Or will this-
No, that's a separate issue, which is related.
Okay.
After you appoint her, actually.
Okay.
To be paid, are you going to include that in your motion?
Oh, okay, to be paid a nominal $50
per
fee
week.
weekly for the use of her.
I will second.
That's a Triple E guy right there, I saw.
Okay, my question is the payment legal?
Well,
Yes, if she is performing the function and is paid out of the treasurer's salary line. She is paid as the treasurer. She is, for all intents and purposes, going to carry a dual appointment for up to 90 days as the collector and paid as the collector, and a nominal sum, $50, as the treasurer for the period of time that she's fulfilling that.
what is the thing in our personnel policy that says something about $1 for
That's for transfer.
if you have a second job,
That's working out.
take on a second job?
Working out of grade.
Ethics
Okay.
problem, and her receiving two jobs in the town.
Well, that's correct, except that is true, but treasurer-collector is a combined post in many towns, in most towns, in fact. And one thing that we will consider if we go forward to reform the town is to consolidate treasurer-collector into one post. This is the exception that proves the rule. And there is, I'm glad you raised that, there is a concern. I was about to say risk, that's wrong, a concern, and one for us as a town, me as your designated official to keep an eye on. When you are the collector and treasurer, you are kind of playing both sides of the fence. That's why this is strictly interim, has nothing to do with our trust and faith in Carol Lee, which is implicit, but it's a point worthy of attention.
Okay, so
did you get the nominal?
we've had a motion
Yes, I
and a
did.
second,
Nominal.
right? Any other discussion? Did somebody have a hand up out in the audience?
I think that's a viable option, given the situation that we have. We already have a town employee that's bonded. When I first heard about this, just earlier this evening, I thought that was a good solution for temporarily.
Doug, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did have a hand up, it was basically the same thing. So it wasn't that long ago, we were right here in this room and had big discussions about people getting paid for two different jobs and how that was illegal and everything, so.
That's why I just wanted to make sure we were.
If in fact it were, let's say, deputy fire chief and town collector, you'd have an excellent point, we'd have a different discussion.
Well,
Yes.
this goes to show that we have learned something. Yeah, that things are being done right, and people ask questions, that's a really good thing. And I agree that's a good move.
Any other discussion? Seeing none. Patrick?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Next step.
To authorize me to engage someone temporarily in the role of vendor. We certainly have a person and an amount in mind. Doesn't have to be a matter of public record, or it can be if you want to see.
Now, is the reason why it can be a vendor is because we just appointed Carol Lee, the treasurer?
Right. Okay. Well, no, because if you appoint a temporary employee, a temporary employee is an oxymoron. You're going out to find a permanent employee. And you can't appoint someone as an employee in the same classification that you're going to go out and fill.
Okay.
So, we're just expediting, so to speak.
So we're going to engage a temporary vendor to work under the direction of Carol Lee.
I have a proposal for someone for 16 hours a week at $29 an hour. Now, I would point out, in April, when we were absent a treasurer, we brought someone in through a consulting firm, and that person, regardless of what we may have thought about her performance, charged us $75 an hour. So we have found I think a far more expeditious route with someone that will charge us substantially less for 16 hours a week. To be funded out of the expense line of the treasurer's office. I think we should go on record very early here. Again, I spoke with Will Spring earlier this evening. We are, by virtue of this, creating a deficit in that expense line. I didn't bother to do the math because I know that by the end of the year that account will be in deficit. So I'm putting us on early notice that when we move money in May, we will have to account for a deficit in this line of a couple of $1,000s.
But won't it be in the salary account?
The consultants paid out of expenses, can't be paid out of salary.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Won't we have a surplus in the salary account?
We will. We should have a surplus in the salary account.
I know, I understand that.
Right, maybe we could do a transfer.
We'll move it in May, and we can do a transfer.
All right, so we're looking for a motion to let Jeff hire someone for 16 hours a week. Up to 90 days.
90 days. Not to exceed.
Move to have Mr. Ritter engage a temporary vendor to work under the direction of Carol Lee Eaton, 16 hours per week, $29 per hour, to be funded out of the expense line of the treasurer's budget.
Second.
That's a bug.
It's dead now. Any discussion? Yes.
It's not the same wing that we had last time.
No, that's what he just said. They charged us a lot more, and we got
a lot less
a
out of it.
lot less. Okay, no more discussion. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, now do we need to do this thing?
Yes, that's just a signatory. That is, in fact, to allow the Carol Lee to have control of the bank accounts.
Okay,
That just
so
moves the bank
I'll just
account.
read this.
Yeah,
The Board of Selectmen hereby votes to authorize Carol Lee Eaton, Town Collector, to have signatory authority for the Town of Templeton, and that the Chair is hereby authorized to execute any and all documents to effectuate same. We need to have a motion on that, second it, and then we have to vote, and I have to write the vote on here.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I will vote yes on that as well, so we will have a 4-0. Okay. That's all for that. Anybody have anything else? There you go, Nancy. Oh, yes. I just wanted to announce, I've been trying to get a hold of Alan Mayo today, and I haven't had any luck. He is doing a walkthrough for the Michaels Lane residents on Saturday morning, this coming week. I believe it's at 10 o'clock. It might be, is it at 10?
Yeah.
10?
Okay.
Yeah.
If any residents are interested in going up to see what he's been doing, what is going to be done this fall and next year, you're more than welcome to come up and walk through the Gilman Wade area with him. There's going to be a lot of activity up there. I think the anniversary committee is going to be up there figuring out where all the vehicles are going for the parade Sunday as well. So it's going to be quite a busy place Saturday morning up there, but if anybody wants to go through Al's walkthrough up there, you're more than welcome to show up there at 10 o'clock.
When is this?
This Saturday at 10.
At 10 o'clock? Thank you.
This is because the residents of Michael's Lane asked to have this done. Doug?
I just have a comment that I'd like to make before, while we're still in the business. I find it very odd that, you have a selectman absent tonight, that his place isn't reserved at the table.
Okay.
Every other selectman meeting we've ever been at.
I guess I can address that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Bennett has been deployed. He will not be with us for at least 6 months. So, he is still a member of the board.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's still a member of the board. He did resign all his other boards seats before he left, but he did not resign this one, and we are not asking him to resign this one at this time.
So that I believe, certainly out of
we can put his nameplate up if it makes you feel better.
Get a chair.
Yes.
This along similar lines, has the board given any consideration to the code of conduct or code of ethics that Jeff, I think, was trying to review with you as a board? I think there have been some allegations lately about some bullying and intimidation. I think it speaks to the
if that's the allegations that were on the website, they are not true. I don't know where you got them. I talked directly to the person you think is being bullied, and it is not happening.
There are some witnesses.
Please.
Would you like me to speak?
Sure.
Yeah, there were some allegations put on the blog that just are not true. I am not being bullied by anyone. I do understand that there may be perceptions, or Virginia and I had a good talk about it. We sometimes get very animated in our discussions with each other, and if you are on the other side of the glass looking at us in an animated discussion, it may look like bullying. It may look like I'm bullying Virginia. I'm not bullying Virginia.
That's good clarification, because there was one incident in front of the senior center where people did witness sort of an exchange that they perceived as somewhat of borderline bullying, intimidation. But I'm glad that
that was a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah. We've mended the fence.
We're fine. Can I say something?
Sure.
Jeff and I work fine together. I don't know where this perception is coming from, but if he doesn't, certainly if anyone should have a problem with me, it should be Jeff. And if he can get past it, why can't everybody else?
Well, as far as the policies and procedures,
yep,
we did have them. I've got a couple of different copies of them.
And there were some notes that we made.
There were some notes, and I don't know if the changes could be brought up at the next meeting.
Yeah, they can be. We can do it that way if you want.
Put them on the agenda for the next meeting and just update them?
Sure.
Yeah.
It would be great. I have plenty of paper copies. Do I have an electronic copy of this document? I'm not sure I do.
I
think Kate has.
I thought
Kate,
Jeff
do you
was going
have
to
that?
send it to Kate.
This Kate.
The electronic copy
of Jeff's policies and procedures, yeah.
She's got it. See, she's been holding out on it.
Oh, I thought that was discussed at the last meeting, that she did have
Yeah.
one. That's why I looked to her.
While I'm thinking of it, can you fix Jeff's computer so that when he sends us an attachment, I can open it?
That thing
I can open
I think
yours.
is always there. There's something that's always there, whether he sends an attachment or not.
I'll look at it.
I will look at it.
Thank
The
you.
AVG thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's not really, there's nothing there, so. Okay, so I guess any
I'll
other
make a note, though.
business anybody needs to bring up? So I guess what we need to, huh?
She says she can open computers, that is hacking?
No.
No, she's not gonna open it.
No, he's gone down.
She's not gonna open it, she's just gonna go and see why you can't transfer things.
All right, so you need an electronic copy of the blog.
I just have, before we go into executive session.
Yeah, just so I can look, because you just
Go back into executive session.
No.
I'll send
I'm going to clean up the questions and send them to you. I'll send you a copy of what I pulled out.
Okay, well, I didn't want to wait 2 more weeks to get this road, whatever we do.
Well,
I wasn't thinking.
We don't have to. I'm just asking for input. Okay. I was just looking for input.
well, good point.
Because otherwise, we're 2 more weeks before we do
Yeah,
it.
that's a very good point. You can come back out if you think you'll reach a decision.
It's totally up to you guys how you want to do it.
I don't think we're prepared to do it.
That's fine. All right, so at this point, we are going to go into executive session, and then we will reconvene in open session just to adjourn. So this is basically the end of the meeting, if nobody else needs anything. So I would take a motion to go into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21-2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiating with non-union personnel.
So moved.
Second.
Pat? Yes. Virginia?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Yes. And we're going to wait to let Steve break down his camera. If you don't mind. Hi there.